My phone pings with a text from Megan, my college roommate from 8 years ago. We haven't spoken in months, but her message stops my heart mid-beat. Olivia, I just saw your charity page for your disabled daughter. I had no idea. Why didn't you ever tell me you had a child? My coffee mug crashes to the kitchen floor. Brown liquid splashes across my bare ankles, but I barely register the heat. My fingers tremble so violently I can barely hold my phone, much less type a coherent response. Disabled daughter. I don't have children. I've never had children. I sink into a kitchen chair, lungs constricting as if concrete is hardening around my chest. 3 deep breaths barely provide enough oxygen to focus on the link Megan included in her follow-up text. The page loads. My profile picture smiles back at me. The professional headshot I use on LinkedIn, taken last spring. But the text beside it describes me as Olivia Hill, proud mother of Sophia, age 6, born with a rare spinal condition requiring extensive medical intervention. Black spots dance in my vision as I scroll through detailed updates about surgeries, physical therapy sessions, and medical equipment fundraisers, all for a child who doesn't exist. Then I see it, the donation information, the bank account number. It's the same one my mother opened when I was in high school, the family emergency fund she and my sister Rebecca still use. The account I've deposited into monthly for years, believing I was helping with legitimate crises. Just last month, I sent $350 for Rebecca's emergency root canal. Before that, $600 for Mom's car transmission repair. This can't be happening, I whisper to my empty apartment, but the evidence fills my screen. Undeniable and overwhelming. How long has this been happening? Who believes I abandoned a disabled child? How many people have they fooled using my identity? A childhood memory surfaces without warning. I'm 7, sitting beside Mom on our faded couch while she holds my small hand in hers. Family always protects family, she says, her voice warm with conviction. No matter what happens in life, Libby, we stand together. The memory collides with the reality on my screen. Detailed blog posts about my daughter's therapy progress, complete with heart-wrenching pleas for financial support. Posts dating back nearly 2 years. I race to the bathroom, barely making it before my breakfast resurfaces. After rinsing my mouth, I stare at my reflection. Pale skin, dilated pupils, a woman on the edge of collapse. Not today. Not again. With shaking fingers, I call Megan back. I need to understand everything you know about this, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. When did you find this page? Have you donated? Has anyone else mentioned it to you? While Megan explains she discovered it through a mutual friend's Facebook share, I open my laptop and begin taking screenshots of everything. The donation history showing thousands of dollars. The fabricated medical updates. The manipulated photos that, upon closer inspection, show me with a small child who looks suspiciously like my niece Madison, Rebecca's friend's daughter. Tears blur my vision, but I force myself to document methodically. File names, dates, URLs, everything. Olivia, Megan says firmly after I've explained the situation. This is identity theft. These are federal crimes. You need to protect yourself first. But they're my family, I protest weakly, even as I continue archiving evidence. Family doesn't steal your identity to scam people, she counters. You need a lawyer and possibly the police. My phone lights up with an incoming call. Mom's smiling face appears on the screen. The same weekly check-in call she makes every Tuesday. The timing feels suddenly sinister rather than routine. For the first time in my adult life, I let her call go to voicemail. The small act of rebellion sends a shock through my system. This isn't just about money anymore. My reputation, my relationships, my entire identity has been weaponized against me by the people who should have protected me most. Later that afternoon at work, I'm staring blankly at my computer screen in the break room when Jessica from accounting drops into the chair across from me. You look like you've seen a ghost, she says, pushing her stylish glasses higher on her nose. Everything okay? I've spoken with Jessica regularly for 3 years, but we've never moved beyond pleasant work conversations. Something about her direct gaze makes me hesitate, then surrender to the need to share this burden. I just found out someone created a charity fundraiser using my identity, I say, turning my phone toward her, claiming I have a disabled child who needs expensive medical treatments. Jessica's eyes widen as she scrolls through the page. This is elaborate. Who would do something like this? My mother and sister, I whisper, the words burning my throat. That's their bank account information. I don't have a child. This is my mother's doing. Instead of the awkward sympathy I expect, Jessica's expression shifts to analytical focus. We need to archive this before they realize you know, she says, pulling out her own phone. I worked in cybersecurity before switching to accounting. I can help you capture everything properly so it can't be disputed later. My chest tightens again, but differently. The pressure of unexpected support rather than crushing betrayal. You believe me? Just like that. Jessica looks up from her phone. My cousin went through something similar with his ex-wife. Family can hurt you the most, she says simply. But you're not facing this alone. I nod, new resolve strengthening my spine. I trusted them with everything. Now I need to know how deep this goes. The weight of betrayal still crushes my chest. But beneath it, something new stirs, the first flicker of determination to reclaim what was stolen from me. My heart hammers against my ribs as Jessica's fingers fly across her keyboard. We've claimed the corner conference room at work, telling everyone we're working on a special compliance project. In a way, we are. Look at this, Jessica says, turning her laptop toward me. I found archived versions of the charity page going back almost 2 years. I clutch the edge of the conference table, studying myself as I stare at the screen. The earliest version of the page shows my LinkedIn photo alongside a grainy image of a newborn in an incubator. The caption reads, Olivia and Sophia, day 1 of our journey together. That's not. My voice cracks. I've never even been in a hospital nursery. Jessica nods grimly. They've been running this scam for at least 23 months, and it gets worse. She clicks through a series of archived pages showing increasingly elaborate fundraising campaigns, emergency surgeries, special wheelchairs, intensive therapy sessions. Each update includes medical terminology specific enough to sound legitimate, but vague enough to avoid verification. These are forged medical records. Jessica points to documents bearing hospital letterheads. The doctor's signatures look convincingly official, but the dates align perfectly with times I sent personal money to my family. May 12th last year, I whisper. Rebecca called, saying Mom needed emergency dental work. I sent $680 that afternoon. Jessica clicks to the corresponding charity update. Sophia's emergency neurological consultation. $750 needed by tomorrow. My stomach churns as we uncover more photos, images of me with a small child I recognize as Madison, my sister's friend's daughter. In one particularly convincing composite, they've digitally placed me beside a hospital bed where a little girl sleeps, medical equipment surrounding her. The total fraudulent amount, Jessica says, pulling up a spreadsheet she's been compiling, exceeds $43,000 from over 200 different donors. $43,000. 200 people, 2 years of elaborate lies. I need air, I mumble, pushing back from the table. I stand at the window, pressing my forehead against the cool glass, trying to process the enormity of what my family has done. What kind of mother steals her daughter's identity to create a fake grandchild? I ask, the Seattle skyline spreading before me. Jessica remains quiet, giving me space as the pieces of my past rearrange themselves into a horrifying new pattern. Every emergency suddenly makes perfect sense. Rebecca's college tuition that never resulted in a degree. Mom's medical bills that never seemed to improve her condition. Car repairs, home maintenance, utility shutoffs, a constant stream of crises requiring immediate financial intervention. I think of Mom's careful phrasing during each request. We don't like asking, but we have nowhere else to turn. The subtle guilt trips, the implied obligation. Rebecca's supportive text messages flash through my mind. Mom's so proud of you, but she'd never ask herself. You know how she is. They didn't see me as family, I say, turning back to Jessica. They saw me as their personal bank. The realization hardens something inside me. The initial shock and betrayal crystallize into something colder and more focused. I have choices they never expected me to make, I say, returning to the table with new resolve. Jessica smiles, recognizing the shift. I've got a friend who might be able to help us understand what we're dealing with. He's a lawyer who specializes in identity theft cases. 2 days later, I sit in Martin Cooper's downtown office, surrounded by evidence we've compiled. His expression grows increasingly grim as he reviews the documents. Your mother has approximately $26,000 in gambling debts, Martin says, looking up from public records he's accessed, most accumulated over the past 3 years. The information lands like a physical blow. Mom, gambling. She always criticized lottery players as throwing money away. And Rebecca is facing eviction, he continues, plus about $18,000 in credit card debt and what appears to be several payday loans. I press my hands flat against my thighs to stop them from shaking. How did you find all this? Public records, Martin explains. Court filings, property liens, legal notices. Once you know where to look, the financial desperation becomes obvious. He pulls out another folder. I also found evidence they attempted similar schemes using your cousin Thomas's identity last year, but he caught on quickly and threatened legal action. Thomas never mentioned this to me. Another betrayal to process later. There's more, Martin says carefully. Your mother's boyfriend of 3 years left her 6 months ago. According to the restraining order he filed, he discovered financial deceptions that made him fear for his security. The timeline aligns perfectly with when the charity page first appeared. They've lost almost every legitimate income source, Martin concludes. Your mother's part-time hospital administrative job is all that's keeping them afloat, plus whatever they extract from you and these fraudulent campaigns. He leans forward, eyes serious. Olivia, they're desperate enough to risk federal charges. That's how bad their financial situation is. I nod slowly, processing everything. What do we do next? You have options, Martin says. But first, let's get your friend Jessica involved again. Her technical expertise combined with my legal background gives us a strong starting position. That evening, my apartment transforms into an impromptu command center. Jessica arrives with her laptop and multiple external drives. I can track everything they've done online, she explains, setting up her equipment on my kitchen table. Every post, every donation, every update. We'll document it all. Martin spreads legal papers across my coffee table. This is wire fraud, identity theft, and multiple federal violations. The evidence is overwhelming. We spend hours organizing everything into a comprehensive timeline. Photos, screenshots, bank records, and public documents cover my walls like a crime investigation board from a television drama. We need roles, Jessica suggests. Martin handles legal. I handle technical. Olivia coordinates intelligence. I stand before the evidence board, studying the fragments of my shattered family relationship. The methodical organization provides a strange comfort, converting emotional devastation into actionable intelligence. We document everything before making any move, I say firmly. The tremor has left my voice. No emotional confrontations, no warnings. We gather every piece of evidence until the case is undeniable. As Martin and Jessica nod in agreement, I realize I've crossed a threshold. The daughter who would have forgiven anything to maintain family peace has been replaced by a woman who values truth more than comfortable lies. This isn't about revenge, I tell myself as I pin another fraudulent medical document to my wall. This is about justice for myself and for 200 strangers who opened their hearts and wallets to help a child who doesn't exist. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly as I stare at the donation form. The name Margaret Wilson feels foreign as I type it into the donor field. Jessica leans over my shoulder, her steady presence grounding me as we execute our plan. Remember, we're documenting a pattern, she says, her voice low and reassuring. Every detail matters. I nod, taking a deep breath as I transfer $500 to my mother's fraudulent charity page. The money will be traceable proof of their ongoing scheme. The confirmation screen flashes. Thank you for supporting Sophia's recovery journey. Sophia, my non-existent daughter. Look at this, Jessica points to her laptop screen 2 days later. We're huddled in the corner of my living room, which is transformed into an evidence hub with color-coded folders and timeline charts plastered across the walls. There's specific language in these updates suggesting hospital stays in March, June, and August, she explains, highlighting sections of text, but according to your calendar and work records, you were at a conference in Chicago during the March dates. They're getting sloppy, I mutter, scanning the fabricated timeline. They claimed I was at Children's Hospital for a week while I was actually presenting at a financial compliance seminar. The thank you email arrives precisely when Jessica predicted it would. The personalized note describes Sophia's courage during her recent physical therapy evaluation and includes a photo that makes my stomach lurch. That's from my appendectomy, I whisper, staring at the manipulated hospital image. My face, clearly photographed while I was recovering from surgery 2 years ago, has been carefully edited to appear as though I'm sitting beside a hospital bed. They must have gotten it from my phone when Mom helped organize my photos last Christmas. They've scheduled a major fundraiser for next week, Jessica points to a graphic announcement prominently displayed on the charity page. Goal: $25,000 for spinal surgery. Martin, reviewing our growing evidence file from his leather office chair, nods with grim satisfaction. This is exactly what prosecutors need, a clear pattern of deliberate ongoing fraud. The personalized response to your test donation proves intent. The buzz of my phone interrupts us. Mom's smiling face appears on the screen, and for the first time in weeks, I don't hesitate before answering. Olivia, honey, her voice carries that familiar warm tone that once meant safety. We need to talk about a special family announcement. My heart pounds against my ribs, but my voice remains steady. Sure, Mom. Tell me about my child, the one you've been raising. The silence that follows stretches so long I wonder if the call disconnected. When she finally speaks, her voice has shifted to something practiced, a performance I've heard countless times without recognizing it. We were trying to protect you from worry, she says. With your career just taking off, we didn't want to burden you. Put Rebecca on the call, I interrupt, surprising myself with my directness. I know she's there with you. A rustling sound. Then my sister's voice, immediately defensive. You never would have approved, but we needed help. Madison's medical bills were piling up. And Madison isn't my child, I say, each word precise and measured. She's your friend's daughter. You've been using my identity to commit fraud. It wasn't like that, Rebecca insists. We were just trying to. I've documented everything, I cut in, my voice surprisingly calm despite the molten anger flowing through my veins. Every fundraising page, every manipulated photo, every dollar collected. You have 24 hours to take down the page and return all donations. Olivia, my mother's voice wavers, a tremor I've never heard before. You don't understand what you're doing to this family. The word family ignites something within me. Family doesn't steal identity, Mom. Family doesn't lie for years. You made your choice. After extracting their agreement to remove the page, I end the call and sink onto my sofa. Martin and Jessica exchange glances, silently acknowledging the moment. You gave them a chance to mitigate damages, Martin confirms, closing his legal pad. That was legally sound and morally generous considering the circumstances. Jessica types rapidly on her laptop. I've archived the final version of the charity page. They can't erase the evidence. I stare at my hands, steady now despite everything. I've never spoken to my mother that way in my life. Later that evening, the three of us sit around a table at Ali's pub, an impromptu celebration dinner that feels both premature and necessary. The weight on my chest has lifted slightly, enough to allow me to eat something for the first time in days. To setting boundaries, Jessica raises her glass of amber ale. To consequences, Martin adds, clinking his water against our drinks. My phone pings with an email notification. A donor named Lawrence Greenberg is questioning why the charity page suddenly disappeared when his church group had planned to contribute to Sophia's surgery fund. Mr. Greenberg says he's confused because they already donated through Give Hope last month. I read aloud, my momentary relief evaporating. And his friend donated through CareChain. Multiple platforms, Jessica whispers, the implications immediately clear. They've been running this operation on multiple fronts. I set down my fork, appetite gone. The victory I'd allowed myself to feel crumbles as I scroll through my phone, searching for these other platforms. Taking down one page was never going to be enough, I realize, meeting Martin's steady gaze across the table. This needs to be stopped completely, not just one page at a time, Martin nods, already pulling out his phone to make notes. We need a comprehensive strategy. This is bigger than we initially thought. Jessica squeezes my shoulder. We've got this, Olivia. One step at a time. I look at these two people who've become my lifeline, a co-worker and a friend's lawyer brother, now fighting alongside me against my own family. The irony isn't lost on me. One step at a time, I repeat, reaching for my water. The glass is cool and solid in my hand, something real to hold on to while everything else in my life seems to be built on lies. 2 days later, after gathering more evidence, Martin's law office transforms into our war room by 9 the next morning. The whiteboard that once displayed his firm's quarterly goals now maps an intricate web of fraudulent platforms my mother and sister created. 8 different websites, I say, my voice oddly steady as I add another pushpin to the board. Each averaging $850 monthly in donations. Jessica turns from her laptop, tucking a strand of copper hair behind her ear. That's just what we can trace directly. There could be more we haven't found yet. I nod, studying the timeline we've constructed. 2 years of methodical deception unfold before me in a dry erase marker, color-coded by platform, donation amount, and specific medical claims. The magnitude would be impressive if it weren't so devastating. You're handling this remarkably well, Martin says, his tie loosened at the collar, sleeves rolled to the elbows. He passes me another stack of printouts, each page representing another person who believed they were helping my non-existent child. I can't think of them as family during this process, I reply, organizing the papers by date. If I do, I'll break down, and we need to be thorough. The words sound clinical, detached. They need to be. Each time an emotion threatens to surface, I redirect it into meticulous documentation, categorizing evidence by type, date, severity. The FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center will need to be involved, Martin says, tapping his pen against the legal pad where he's drafted our strategy. This crosses state lines, involves wire fraud, identity theft, federal jurisdiction. Jessica glances up from her screen. I've got the monitoring software installed on all the charity platforms. We'll know immediately if they make changes. I watch her fingers fly across the keyboard, cataloging donor information into a database she created overnight. Name, amount, date, platform, specific claim referenced, each entry representing someone manipulated by my own blood.